I really got lucky with the timing of this film because in not so many years, I think it would be less possible. And even casting our Holocaust survivor support group and identifying, who was not just willing to participate, but who could participate, really made that very clear. Oh, wow, this is, it's 250,000 people today, but in a year it'll be a lot less, and so there is I think a surprising to me a sense of like urgency in getting this film made. And I certainly, the Jewish identity piece of this story is something that I felt I could confidently execute because it's in my DNA, and I grew up identifying as a Jewish kid growing up in New York. I had a grandmother who was, not like Eleanor in some ways, but also kind of impossible and amazing and, very strong character, a very strong Jewish woman. And, I think hopefully when you see the film, the authenticity of that comes through. If that piece didn't feel authentic to me, I probably wouldn't have touched this film because it's so much a part of the film.
Yeah. June, it's so good to see you. Congratulations on this role. How does it feel to be back at Cannes again?
It's great fun. It's different because then I was, so like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just sort of led around. I have a little more now, a little more able to see what's happening and to make decisions and everything.
Like you're not so overwhelmed.
Not so overwhelmed this time. Yeah.
What would you say is the secret to your boundless energy? Because not just at work, but Shuatel told me that your 95th birthday party was a very lively affair.
It was lively. Yes, he was there. Yeah. I've always kind of had an energy, and if I needed more, I had it. I don't know why, but I've always had energy.
What about when you were a kid?
I had energy.
Is that what your mom would say?
Yeah, oh yes, much too much energy.
Was there anything about Eleanor that you personally related to?
We would all love to give people the finger all the time. And she does it, and I think that things she says, I mean, a lot of it is her humor, but a lot of it has a zinger to it too, She's not afraid to say anything.
I found that really inspiring. I'm going to give the finger more often myself. Erin, I know you and June really connected shooting this. Did June give you any tips? Did you learn some acting tips from June?
I think, yeah, first of all, but I think also just watching June do her thing on set was a lesson in itself. But also, you were really open about your experience of like still figuring it out, and I think that, like, I'm coming onto this set thinking, okay, Scarlett and June know exactly what they're doing, and I'm drowning in this set. But you being open about that, I think, made me relax a little bit more in feeling like, okay, so I think we're all maybe just trying to figure it out,
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of improv? Since you two were so close and had such a real friendship, Scarlett, did you allow improv? Was there a kind of atmosphere of that?
Yeah, there was a little bit of improv, although I have to say, it's interesting when you're putting something together, improv is so obvious that it kind of takes you out of the scripted story, and so you have to use it very sparingly, or it's jarring, I think, for the audience, because suddenly they're getting a peek behind the curtain in a way that's not always helpful, and so you have to be delicate where you place it. But I'm not a person that loves improvising. It's just not my strength as an actor. Certainly I've worked with actors that are fantastic at it, or comedians particularly that are really fantastic at it. And it lands because it's sort of part of like the whole shtick of what they're doing. But I think for most actors, improv is, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, but it can be hard because you're studying the script, you're working from the script, and then suddenly you're expected to just sort of wing it, and it takes you out of the moment of the work that you're doing. That's how I feel about it, but there's a couple of little moments.
Yeah, and I think with the montagey things, me and June, I don't know if we were talking in character, out of character. I had an accent, but I think we were just chatting. So that was kind of like an improv moment. Obviously, you don't hear what we're talking about, but that felt quite nice to explore those moments.
In the diner.
Yeah, in the diner too.
Yeah, and they also have such great energy between them. That like seeing them in those moments over the montage or whatever, where they're just, enjoying each other. It was great to be able to use that because it's happening,
So
not always the case. Sometimes you say cut and both people turn away.
We get closer.
So Scarlett, you said to me before that, the kind of directing projects you might look towards in the future, they have to have this kind of human connection element to them. That's really interesting to you. I know you've said you don't plan to resume Black Widow, but would you ever do something completely different and direct a big action movie or a Marvel movie?
I think, the movies that I like that are big action movies also have the human connectivity piece. Even producing Black Widow and being a part of the production of that and the development of the story and the story between Natasha and Yelena and this family drama that is this small movie in a huge world, is I think a way of doing it. A way of maintaining the integrity of, the idea of human connection, family, disappointment, all of the things that were themes in that film, and doing it in a giant way, in a giant universe is also, there's ways of doing it. Those are the big movies that I love that work. It's the same way we love Sean Connery and Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones movies, because it's just like this. It's a relationship that we all know that,
I could probably recite those movies because I love them. I could probably recite all the Indiana Jones movies. I'm like an obsessive.
And it's such a great, he's such a flawed character,
Yeah.
And in each film, he's really, there's like the core of the films are really about the relationship, So yeah, definitely it would be fun.